Okay, what I'm going to do here is go ahead and make a directory for the project, and then I'm going to enter that directory. And the first thing I'm going to do here is to just create a settings.gradle file. With that file created, I should be able to run Gradle wrapper to generate the Gradle wrapper files. That way I can just make sure I'm running any other Gradle commands I run with a specific version. I like to do that early. You have to have the settings.gradle.kts or a build.gradle.kts file there first, or it won't work. But after running that, you can see now we've got our Gradle here. We can run that, and we've now pinned ourselves to this version. So now from here, the thing I want to do is to create the directory structure for the different modules. Now, I've gotten kind of tired of making, module name / source / Java / foo over and over again. So I've created just a little utility for that, which basically looks like this. Pretty basic here. This is just a little command I use so that it'll basically create this source main Kotlin com, source main Kotlin resources. In this case, I think we actually want to use org. It doesn't really matter. Mostly I just want to get the general shape of this, and then I'll create my packages under there. Paste that in. We'll create our app. We'll do the same thing for our list and our utilities. Cool. So now if we ls, we should have these paths. So let's take a look at list, for example. We've got our source, main test, etc. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and open this up in IDEA. Okay, cool. So you can see here now, we've got this open in IDEA. It's mostly blank, but we've got our basic directory structure. I'm going to go ahead and rename this to org. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy over the classes from the other project. Okay, so now I've copied these over, so all of the sub-projects here have an implementation. So now I've got all the implementation classes and code copied over here. So from here, what we can do is to start to fill in the Gradle project build files and settings files and so forth. So first off, what we're going to want to fill in here is this settings.gradle, and we'll just paste that in. If you remember in our original application here that was generated, this is what it looked like. Most of this we're going to keep. I'm going to go ahead and drop this because it's not really necessary for this to work. This might be something good that you'd want in a production project, but here I want to just include only what's necessary to make things work. So we're going to reduce this just to our include and our project name here. We're going to keep those the same, except in this case this is v3, whereas before I believe I had v2. And now we're going to start to fill in the project settings for the various sub-projects here. And I believe if we look back to our original one here, let's find the one that's sort of the bottom of our tree that doesn't depend on anything else. So that is list. So let's try to fill in list. Now it's pulling pretty much everything from this conventions file. I want to flatten that out just to make it easier to understand for myself as a beginner. Again, rural production, the idea of having this type of shared configuration, probably good, but I want to just take this back to basics. So let's create a build.gradle.kts file under list. And the first thing we're going to need to do is specify our plugins. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and specify Kotlin version, give it a version, and then we're saying that we're using the Kotlin DSL, and we're saying that this is going to be a Java library. Because again, back in the first example here, just recall it was using the library conventions, which pulls in this Java library. I'm basically taking all the stuff that I found interspersed throughout the various common dependencies and stuff it was pulling in, and I'm just flattening them out here. So the other thing we're going to need to do here is we're going to have to specify repositories. Again, before that was being done in that kind of shared plugin code. Here we're just going to do it here. We're going to include both of the repositories that it mentioned. I'm actually not entirely sure if we need this one, but I'm going to leave it. And then we're going to need to pull in our dependencies. I don't have a constraint set here. I'm just going to set the version right here where I pull it in. And then we're going to need to set our JVM settings here. So we're going to set that all right here in the file. And let's go ahead and let IDEA refresh this and see if it likes what we got so far. Okay, so that is all looking good. So now the next thing we'll start with then is the utilities, because that is next in the dependency tree, and it's easiest if we just work our way up. So a lot of that is going to be the same, because again, we're no longer pulling in those plugins from build source with all the kind of shared configuration. So we're going to end up specifying pretty much everything again. Our build.gradle.kts. And now we'll just paste this in. This is pretty much same thing that was in the other file. We got Kotlin DSL, Java library, Kotlin version, pulling in this dependency, setting our language, just pulling in all that shared code. Now, one difference here is that this one is going to have a dependency on our list project here, so we'll add that. Now let's try and refresh. And at least IDEA seems to like it, so that's good. Now finally, we're going to go in here and we're going to do the app. So again, build.gradle.kts. And again, a lot of this will be the same. So again, specifying same thing here. One difference here, this time we're going to use the application plugin, because this is actually going to be the class that we execute when we run our program here. But again, we're going to respecify the repositories. We're going to specify the dependencies. This time though, our dependency is going to be on the utilities project, which in turn depends on the list project. Again, specifying our Java language, and this time setting what our main class is going to be. And let's just refresh again. Here we go. Now, moment of truth, in theory, we should be able to run Gradle run. And we have success, and we printed hello world. And you'll notice if you look in here, just so you can kind of see, that while you shouldn't need all those dependencies and multiple projects to print hello world, it is in fact making use of all of them. So we are depending on things that are coming from our various modules to do this.